Hello, today we'll be carrying out an analysis of two companies which are Gap Inc. and Levi's. Gap is an American clothing and accessories company which targets young adults. On the other hand, Levi's is known worldwide for its brand of denim jeans and is also an American clothing company.
7S strategy for both companies, Gap and Levi, both has the same aim to gain market share around the world. The difference between the companies, Gap keeps the price low, especially during recession. Levi's focus more on product quality, position in flow, and high price. In terms of structure, both companies have the flat structure, while a wide length of control for top level management, which gives easier communication. In terms of style, Gap and Levi has the same type of style, which is transformation leadership style. Gap managers are inspired their employees to high productivity and engagement from everyone in their team. In Levi's case, they maintain their lead in fast-changing fashion industry. Their manager team brings new ideas from other industries and consumers company. In terms of share values, Gap continues to grow sales internationally, regular customer service training. Levi's strong values focus on new creativity and artwork from everyone from their team. Both companies have a strong sense of organization, purpose, and commitment goals.
So reacting to us about sustainable competitive analysis.
So in terms of Gap, they decided to work together with Virgin Hotel in Chicago. The hotel guests can reserve the style they want online and be delivered to the hotel. This is a unique idea which gives an advantage of their competitors. So in terms of Levi, they focus more on environmental ideas. So they create an eco innovation project which they save 11.9 million buttons to create the skinny jeans and boyfriend jeans. This is a really expensive project which gives a different level of competitors. So it's difficult to Gap or other competitors to copy the idea.
So Marcello, can you tell us about your competence analysis?
Sure. It's observed that the company Levi and Gap are both well known in the fashion and clothing market. At the competence analysis, I find out similarities in the external system, which is that both companies have a strong supplier and producer network. Both of the companies also put a special emphasis to the present trends, and both use strong supply channels. At the value chain, we note the thing Gap is based on the environmental control. At Levi, the value chain is considered with specialized marketing and advertising campaigns. At Gap, the company is having a sustainable value chain for procuring raw materials for textile production. At Levi, raw materials and other resources are collected with minimum wastage and then processed with high quality. Gap is having substantial values over the uses of materials and disposal of the wastes to consider the value chain. Levi developed a high understanding of the recycle and usage of wastage for reduction of environmental effects.
So Tom, can you tell us about your financial results for both companies?
So from the annual reports from years 2013 and 14, it's obvious that Gap is a much bigger company operating with significantly higher numbers. But in 2014, profit of Levi's was 0.15 million pounds, but Gap had 2013 million pounds in the same year, which is using basic accounting ratio, these companies can be easily compared.
On these three charts, we can see three main ratios used. Gross profit ratio signifies that Levi had in previous 2 years much higher percentage when comparing gross profit to net sales. Both companies had a slight decline from 2013 to 2014, but this decrease was visible in almost all the ratios. Return on capital employed shows that Gap is much better at using its capital, and in 2013 it was 108% compared to 44% for Levi. Similar results are in operating profit as a percentage of using capital, but decrease for both companies was smaller compared to other ratios.
So the asset turnover for both companies in 2014 is 3.02 times, and the current ratio and liquid ratio, which are comparing current asset and current liabilities, are both much higher for Gap. As Gap operates with higher amounts of money and all that, it's obvious that financial resources are much higher compared to Levi. Only the working capital is more than 2,500 times higher. On the other hand, human resources analysis show that Levi has employees equally spread between US, Europe or Asia. All three categories of employees are almost equally spread between manufacturing, retailing and distribution. The main difference comes in physical resources, while Gap is operating majority of their own stores, but on the other hand they are leased, and Levi is using franchises for most of them stores.
Okay, thank
From conducting a Porter's Five Forces analysis, I have found that both Levi and Gap face low threat from the entry of new companies. Both Levi and Gap have operated and served consumers for a very long time, especially Levi's, which started in 1873. Gap and Levi's brand identity is very strong and highly recognisable. As a result, the cost entry for a new company would be very high. However, I also found that these two brands face different threat levels when it comes to supplier power. Levi's threat is low due to dispersing supplies across 30 developed and developing countries, allowing Levi's to minimise external impact of their supply of stock to consumers. Moreover, the cost of changing suppliers is low as there are many to use, whereas Gap has a medium threat level from their suppliers. Gap has more suppliers across 50 countries, but all are in developing countries like China. In China, the economy is unstable, which increases the threat of unforeseen circumstances that may affect Gap stock.
So Ella, tell us what you found out about the Bowman strategy clock.
From the Bowman strategy clock, I found that Gap is positioned at 1 o'clock with a differentiation price premium strategy, whilst Levi's is at 2 o'clock with a focused differentiation strategy. Gap is seen as a high quality high street brand where they compete for a high profit margin, whereas Levi's is focused on producing high quality denim products which provide customers with maximum benefits.
So Justice, what are your findings from personal analysis?
Well, Tom, from using the personal analysis, I found out that both companies have similar legal issues, which is that since they operate on a global scale, they have the challenge of complying with domestic, regional and international laws, such as discrimination law, occupation law and safety law, and these laws obviously affect how the company operates. Another similarity from the pestle analysis is the social factor. As you can see on the slide, for instance, Gap, being a clothes retailer, should be conscious on the kind of clothes they sell to a particular region. For example, heavy clothing is meant for cold climates, which cannot sell in tropical regions during the hot season, vice versa. Also, in terms of Levi's, people's preference for jeans depends on the culture and lifestyle of the people in a country, which means that, for example, jeans will be less popular in Arabic countries than the Western. Another example is that the Japanese consumers prefer tighter fitting jeans, and American consumers, hence Levi's, will have to adapt their jeans style to the different cultures.
Okay, Lana, so what is your conclusion using SWOT analysis?
So for the strengths for both companies, Gap's one focuses more on product portfolio, so they're a globally known brand, whilst Levi's strength is that they are one of the few retailers that specifically specialises in jeans.
Despite their strengths, Gap has a weakness of relying on outside sources for their product. Therefore, if the manufacturers fail to provide their clothing, Gap will fail to operate. Meanwhile, Levi's weakness targets on their narrow production line, which may limit their sales. Furthermore, both retailers has many opportunities. For example, Gap could expand in Asia, which may even be cheaper for them to operate, whilst Levi's has the opportunity to expand their clothing line other than jeans. So for the threats, lastly, new fashion retailers enter the market all the time, which will increase competition for Gap. Meanwhile, Levi's threats focuses more on consumer preferences changing regularly, meaning it could be costly and hard for Levi's to catch up.
So currently, Gap and Levi's are working with market development, where they are both concentrating on expanding their stores and opening new stores in different countries and places. However, from our analysis, we recommend for both companies to work with new products and services. So, for example, to produce new production lines other than jeans and clothing, and to work with collaborations in order to strengthen their competitive advantage.